Welcome back, everyone, to the Student Voice Podcast. My name is Charity Blackwell, and I'm super excited to be your host for this evening's discussion. We're going to be getting into some really amazing topics with some phenomenal individuals, as you see here on this mic with me. And this podcast is brought to you by the I Succeed Academic Coaching Program. It's a program that provides academic and career coaching access to tutoring and other academic support opportunities. So I'm really happy to be here with some folks that are part of the program, that are leading aspects of the program, and we're going to talk about something that I think is really important and near and dear to my heart as a DEI strategist. We're going to be talking about diversity in college campuses, bridging the gaps of opportunity through language, diversity, equity, inclusion, engaging ESL and other learners. And we're also going to tap into the Hillman Effect. Is academic excellence a luxury or badge of honor when attending an HBCU? But before we get into that, I want you all to get to know these people that are part of this amazing panel discussion. So I would like you to introduce yourself, talk about how you're part of the program, how long you've been part of the program, and also where you're from. So anybody want to start?
Raquel Nixon, Washington, D.C. native all my life. I've been with the DC Futures for 1 year. I'm happy to be here.
My name is Jovan Williams-Bey. I am a senior majoring in human development, currently serving as the 2022-23 undergraduate student government vice president for the University of the District of Columbia. So I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome.
I'm Yolanda Torres. I am a senior chemistry major at the University of the District of Columbia. I am from DC, and I'll pass it on.
Hello, I am LaKera Tompkins. I am the grant writer and program manager of DC Future Scholars, I Succeed Academic Coaching Program. And I am very well connected with DC. I am a Hustle alumni, Howard University School of Law.
Okay, I know they're yelling, "Hey, Jude!"
Right,
Hey, Jude!
Right.
I know someone's yelling that somewhere. So awesome. Let's get into it, right? So let's first start. Let's talk about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, engaging ESL and other learners. So, speaking from your experiences, all part of college campuses, and I want to know, how can college campuses become more inclusive? And inclusive can mean so many things, whether you're talking about race, you're talking about accessibility, belonging. How can college campuses, in your opinion, be more inclusive from your experiences?
Well, I can kick it off. Currently, Ramadan just passed, right? Mm-hmm. And we, at the university, I was serving as Miss Junior. And I went to our Center for Diversity and Inclusion and Multicultural Affairs, and I advocated. I said, hey, can we celebrate the Muslim students, like feed them for fasting? And so we collaborated. We had a space, I set up a space for prayer for them to be able to break their fast for Ramadan. And then once Ramadan was over, we celebrated the Eid. So I did another celebration. Mm-hmm. However, our campus has that piece, right? It's called SEDEMA, mm-hmm. right? And SEDEMA has an umbrella. They have the TAG program, so it's TAG Alliance, mm-hmm. which is founded by a student back in like 2018 for the LGBTQ plus community. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the international students. They handle like all of our international students, because at the university we take undocumented students and international students at UDC. Mm. So I think we are ahead of the game, mm-hmm. and including some of those students as far as access to education.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Hear that?
Well, for me, I can kind of piggyback off of some of the things you were saying, mm-hmm. but as I engage with her meeting here, I feel like a little out of place because my only focus is education and getting to class. So I said for this year, I want to get a little bit more involved in the different programs and clubs that they have at the campus.
We'll come to our interest meeting for Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in the fall. No.
Yes, like was mentioned though, I think inclusion on campus must be student advocated, right? I think it's best when it's advocated by the students, when it's collective, and when it's brought to administration. I think a lot of times administration is awaiting to hear what's needed, right? A lot of times administration thinks about administering, you know, and the management of, but it's not always thinking about the interest of who is being managed, right? Which is a different part of the mind. So when students do bring it makes management think about how to provide.
I love that, and I think that's so important when you're talking about DEI, because it's community work. It can't be top-down work. It can't be a sumptuous work. I think this will be an inclusive approach. I think this will be something that the students need. I think that we should celebrate this holiday. It should be something that's advocated from the students, which I think is always including student voices, which I think is really awesome about that approach.
Well, for UDC uniquely, we are true HBCU. We have a royal court, which is like traditional for HBCUs. In terms of, even though we have a sense of community, and I've been part of that, spearheading the biochem club at UDC, there are divisions within our colleges, because the people in the College of Arts and Science don't really hang out with the education folks or the business folks. So there are some silos that we do have as the college continues to grow, right? One of the things that we find very, very enlightening is now that after COVID restrictions have lifted, we're now having more in-person events. So I think it's just understanding that there's humanity and there's have that sense of community. Again, I think that would be really great to see over the next years. One of the things that I am appreciative is we have these open sessions with the university president when we bring up concerns, we bring up issues, and you know, everything's now so digitalized that everybody gets an email and there's information being scattered. But what I do find that there has to be some more work with uniting and breaking down these silos within the colleges. In particular, in my college, right, the Arts and Science college, we do have a very small department of chemistry majors and the biology majors, and within that there's even more silos. So how do we, this is again a question of how do we break these silos down, right? And that's work ahead of us. And you know, in my major especially, there's just a lot of elitism, right? Chemistry is a very white man dominated.
Oh, talk about it.
Yeah, so it's just those things that we're starting to prepare for as like we're entering the workforce.
That's real.
Right.
So it's just something to think about it. And me as a student and being an advocate of this work, I mean, it just continue to speak up that these things are existing and not putting a blind side. I think many times we don't want to talk about the bads because it's hard to talk about the bads. But there is progressive work at UDC, and I will give that. Now for the other HBCUs around the area, I don't know, I can't speak for them. But within there, as you can see, there's more silos, right? Because as a community, we should be able to, especially there's the DC has a unique consortium, we should be easily go to Howard's library and go in there, or Georgetown's library, right? So it's just more silos to think about and more work ahead of us. Do I have the answer? No, but I think continuing to have these conversations is very critical.
Yeah.
We do have that connection though for UDC, UDC and Howard, where we can either take classes that maybe the university doesn't offer at UDC to go to Howard's class. And then also we can use their, we do have access to Howard's library as well. We do share a property space. I guess another unique, as she was talking about, like unique, as UDC, a lot of people don't know that the university is an HBCU. So we do have the Divine Nine, you know. Yeah, we do have the Divine Nine, which is, you know, a foundation heart at, you know, all HBCUs. People want to know about the Divine Nine, who's in what sorority. So we have all 9 organizations active on campus. Which it is a new challenge to try to bring in, you know, other members of course, to the Divine Nine, you know, in the each respective organization. However, we're making headway.
Yeah.
So we're definitely making headway with our university. Another great opportunity for students to be involved is now the university is up for accreditation, and it's through the Middle States Higher of Education Accreditation, and they can be a part of the steering committee. So each, this will be a reaffirmation because we're already accredited college, but it'll be a reaffirmation process. So if students want to get involved, this is a nice time to start the process, to go through and say, hey, this is happening. These are our disparities in our different classes, right? And so this is happening. So bringing those voices to the table, this is a perfect time to do that. Because, of course, people want to continue their accreditation, right?
I mean, of course, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I can't speak for other campuses, but it does sound like UDC is in a really good, on a good pace in their journey for DEI, because one thing is that it's never, at least in America, in the world that we're in, it's an ongoing journey. It's a life journey, always gonna happen. And so it's good to know that there are steps going in that direction. And so, and we kind of tapped on this next question, which is how can students improve inclusivity on the campus? And I think you just kind of tapped into some of those options, but because I think there's a lot of questions of like, not questions where we can see a lot of issues, but what are like possible solutions that could be implemented for some of those areas of growth for inclusivity on campus, if you see any?
Currently, I did apply for a program through Spelman, right? They have a diversity and leadership certification. And so I'm advocating for our university to see if they can help me pay for it, you know, like, because that would be like an extra certification, right? To say, hey, I'm a student here and I'm branching out to this other school, and maybe we can do some type of collaboration. So I'm in the works of making those type of connections to bring in some type of extra certification, even though our college has 80 degree programs. And then they have 80 degree programs, and then they have workforce development. So we don't have like diversity leadership, right? And so I think because we have SEDEMA, right, which is this multicultural place where students can come, let's have some diversity leadership courses offered. And so that was something that I reached out as a student to say, I wanted to be a part of this. We do have a diversity class, but not diversity leadership and other diversity things, right? So I think that's another way we can kind of bring inclusive education, right? Like Nelson Mandela says, education is a weapon to save the world, something like that. Sorry, Nelson Mandela.
We got you.
Right? And so if we bring that education as in academia, then we can help people, can teach people about diversity, equity, inclusion, you know.
100%.
So
I like that because it's one thing to have that as part of your mission, vision, and values of your school, but also to have that opportunity if someone's interested in actually taking that route and learning more about it, whether that's what they want to be, a DEI consultant, or I just need to have this in my back pocket because I know how important it is to have this lens in every aspect of work that I do. That's a really good option. I think that proactive approach is really cool. Anyone else want to touch on that? Because I'm about to shift a little bit.
You can shift.
I'm ready to connect the shift.
Yeah, let's shift it.
I just want to say something
go ahead.
before.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I think for me, it's just being present. Like, let our voices be heard. Let our presence speak for ourselves. Go to those events. Go to those hearings, or go to those like town halls. Go to like be part of these clubs. Have your voice heard. And I just think being present, just the fact that you're in that room, have a seat at the table. Like, fight for your seat at the table. I think it's not going to change until we show that we're there.
Showing up showing up means so much. People don't understand it, 'cause even if you show up and you just quiet, just your presence there is it speaks volumes. So
Can I speak to this?
yeah, look, before we transition,
Let's
let's
get on
because
that. You mentioned being present, and I have to say that I recall our college day, and you were there, and we had a very large Hispanic population at our college day, right? And it made me think about being sure that we had a live translator here at Career Day today. So you are correct. When you show up, it will have those who are designing program to think about how can we better serve who we are serving.
Absolutely.
So you are definitely correct. When you show up, you will show others that it's time to make shift and it's time to think about how to bring in the inclusivity. Indeed.
100%. So yeah, I came late to the party finding out that UDC was HBCU, right?
So in DC, right, there is HU and UDC.
Yeah.
That's the only two HBCUs in Washington, DC, right? We have the DMV, but those are the only two.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, right? And as we shift into this, is it a luxury or is it a badge of honor? I see it as both, because fortunately, where I was raised in high school, fortunately, both of my grandparents are alumni of Tuskegee University, HBCUs.
Yeah.
So fortunately, my childhood was immersed
In
in HBCUs. First job was at Grandma's Store, Black University Supply Shop, where I printed shirts and we vendored at every HBCU event. Now, I say it's a luxury because everyone is not exposed to that.
no.
And so they see college as a choice or something I may go to, but they don't think about the value or understand the value of an HBCU, right? So that's why I say it's a luxury. It's a badge of honor when you're there because, as you mentioned, certain fields are heavily laced with certain people. And inclusivity is not in every career. And HBCU allows you to build that strength for the next step in career. It allows you to build a network of people who look like you. When you get into these career fields and they tell you people like you don't work well together, you can show them proof. And you can say, my experience does not show that.
Yes.
My experience shows that we work very well together and we work very well in profession.
Yes.
I've seen it,
Yes.
right? Through my professors, through colleagues, and myself. Right? So that's why I say I see it as both, you know, and very appreciative, like you, that it took me a while to see that UDC was an HBCU.
Yes, we are.
But that's what made me connect even more
That's
once I
awesome.
recognized that and saw that administratively there may be things at struggle. Administratively, there may be things that are not all put together, but HBCUs have a certain passion and people on the campus that are going to ensure that you get what you deserve to have before you leave.
The investment level is different. They are invested, and then we have smaller class sizes. So we have a better connection, like, you know, your professor knows your last name.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a great thing, you know, at our school.
Y'all making me want to go to HBC. Right now. Well, I went to
Come on to
Trinity.
UDC, we
That's
have the law
technically HBC. If you really break it down.
know?
I don't know.
Right, there's graduate levels, there's all things.
Yeah, we have graduate, we have the law school, we have, you know, which our law school is number 5 on their externship, or what is it called? The lawyer. I'm sorry. You know what I'm talking
Clerkships.
about? Yes.
Yes, definitely so.
Yeah.
Why not? We're
They're number
here,
5.
right? And a lot of times that's what people think about UDC. When I spoke with career services at UDC, I learned how much recruitment takes place on the campus. How many of the federal and large companies are seeking students at UDC. Why? Because of where you are. So whether there's a thought that the school does not sits at an inferior status of other HBCUs, or whether or not Howard tries to make another student feel that you are. No, not at all. We know this exists amongst people. This classism thing, right? That's what makes people feel better, right? Let me create an inferior status so I can feel better. That's all that's about, right? But the truth is, students, you are in DC.
Yes.
The same large companies are seeking you the same way, not because you're at UDC versus Howard, but because you're in DC.
Yes.
And they know what you're being exposed to
Yes.
is not the same as somebody in a lot of other states.
Yes.
Right. The exposure and opportunity is very different here. So feel elite.
Yes. I love my
Feel
school,
elite at UDC, indeed. Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, look, we could talk about this for another hour, I'm pretty sure, but I know that we're up on time. But I just want to thank you all for coming and making this time to talk about these really meaningful topics, and also for you being part of putting on this really, I mean, it's making me think I need to go apply or something. I don't know. Like, this is a really awesome program, and I can tell you're passionate, and that I can even tell from everyone that I've interviewed so far that this is something that's really, really meaningful. And so I just want to say thank you all again for being here. And yeah, I enjoyed this conversation, and y'all catch us next time on the podcast, Student Voices Podcast.
Thank
Give
you.
thanks.
Peace.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
Bye.